Everybody, welcome to Comic Book Wednesdays, a weekly series where we talk about comic books. We're your hosts. I'm Ian.
I'm Al.
And I'm Shane.
Yeah, if you're enjoying our content, please remember to subscribe and like and comment, interact with us. This week we are diving into comic books, New Avengers annual #1. So it's a little bit of a left field here. I don't have the the author in front of me. Let me just pull that up real fast. Jeopardy
For
music.
authors, I can just see the last names.
Yeah, if you do you have their last names in front of you?
Yeah, Rudy and Barbary, Barbiere.
Yeah, I got it. So Frank Barbary, that's it. And Marco Ruberi is the artist. We don't usually give credit to the artist. And then we also read the Hickman Avengers runs 25 and 26.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of run of the mill. So this is our first annual. I don't know how many more we have during this run. Maybe like one or two. But what did you think? Because the annuals are weird. They're very different. Usually, you get a new creative team to interject into the story. Sometimes they're no names starting out. I don't really know this artist and this writer, so I'm not sure how big they are. They're definitely not upper echelon as far as like the big names that I can recall from my top of my head. But I mean, they're working for Marvel, so they're experts at it. You know what I mean?
I gotta tell you, as far as like an overall for all the comics we've read so far, it's probably one of my favorites.
Hey, that's awesome.
Um,
Why?
well, I really enjoyed seeing the backstory to Doctor Strange. As we've talked before, neither me or Shane are really super comic books like you guys are, or like you are, Ian. But to see the fine points of Doctor Strange having to check himself and learn his ego and have to learn from that. It was a cool bit of the story. And then, you know, seeing how dark he was willing to go, it was a nice change to what we've been experiencing, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a more personal story for Stephen Strange, which I thought was awesome. Um, so that's definitely really cool. I mean, and for those who are just listening and not reading, um, it's a story that follows Doctor Strange, uh, not only in the future but also in the past. There's a lot of flashbacks, um, and it deals with him kind of learning to cope with his how would you phrase it, guys? He's not perfect.
Is
He's got
hubris?
his
Yeah.
hubris. Yeah, that's it. He's coping with his hubris. He's a flawed character, and he's not perfect. Um, and there's some nice parallels between the past and the future as he's like coping and dealing with his threats. What are you gonna say?
I kind of,
Sorry.
no, it's all good. I really enjoyed this issue, but before I continue, I just have a question because I've seen comics do this, and I don't necessarily know why. Why do they call them annuals? Is it because they like publish a big issue once a year, or like what's the purpose of that?
They come out once a year. Yeah,
Okay, so this is just like the yearly like big issue, basically.
exactly.
Okay, just making sure I understood because I'd heard the term before and I didn't really have any context to it.
That's
I
fair.
know Google is a magical device, but I'd rather ask you.
It's a talking point. It's a talking point.
For this issue, I really, really liked it, but I also get the feeling, like I've had my suspicions with the previous issues, that Strange is kind of, excuse me, headed for a bit of a break, whether it's like a psychotic break or he's just not. It's very rare that like anybody can tell him no, and it's even worse when he can't tell himself no. And reading through this issue, like seeing his backstory, because like I was saying this is stuff I didn't know, and like some of these arts and like some of the like art pages and highlights, how the one scene is shaped like the basically a model of a brain. I thought that was fascinating.
Mm-hmm. The artist did a wonderful job framing this book and like giving you those visuals.
Yeah.
He kind of
It,
reminds me of like a young Tony at this point, like with the ego
mm-hmm.
and having to figure out how not to be that way.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair assessment. They are both very like large ego characters. It's
Yeah.
probably why they don't always get along. Um, so, how did you guys feel about the watercolors? I think when I said to you guys like, it's very jarring. I think they were my exact words.
I mean, I don't care so much for the art style, but the story that we got out of it, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, there were times that it complemented itself really well, but then there were other times where like the watercolors were nice to look at, but I was just so engrossed in the story of not only like his backstory, but as he was trying to save this princess, like each time, like this, it's kind of highlighting a new era for Strange to me. Where like each time he would have had to like make a decision or do something that he previously would have done in the other issues, like he's just brute forcing his way through these problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it really reminded me of the animated What If and how Dark Steven was like absorbing people and what he did to the demon. I was like, oh, so that's actually a thing that he's done before. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like taking on like these evil entities' powers in a very clever "I'm tricking you" type of way too.
Yeah.
I thought that was really awesome. Um, and I kind of get the feeling that Strange is at this point where like he is grasping for power because he feels like he has none, and that's a really clever way that this character is being written. Someone who's so powerful, and like, what does an all-powerful character do when he feels like he's losing power? I'm gonna get more, and like to the point where they have to make compromising decisions, and I'm just really fascinated with where they're going, and I'm glad they were able to do an annual with it because I thought that he wasn't getting enough time in the actual run. Kind of always felt like he was second fiddle. So this is nice in my opinion.
Dude, this was really, really interesting. I was kind of surprised that we got like a whole issue devoted to like kind of what he's doing, but it just makes me think compared with the other issues that we read, like if they're highlighting this and his power, like is this going to be something we're going to have to worry about later on with this next event? Or is he maybe going to cause it? Like, there's so many questions, and all of them I know are getting an answer, but I'm just excited to read more.
Totally. And we're gonna have to see more of this. I mean, like it's just gonna blow up in his face, right? I mean, it has to. You can't like just give a character. He can't go to the devil's free market or farmer's market and then not have it blow up in his face.
No, definitely not. I really
No.
do enjoy how they tied it in. Like it really it gave a sense of I can see where this is going.
Totally, totally. Um, as far as big picture, I don't know exactly like what it's going to do to Doctor Strange. Do you think he's gonna like go even further and partner with more nefarious people, or do you
I
think
think he's
he's
gonna do whatever he has to make him feel like he's done his part. And if it comes down to him doing and going with more of a dark side, I think he's gonna fall to that. Like he's gonna do everything he can to protect his people, and
No, totally. And his people in this case are the world, the whole world.
Yeah.
He's
No, I agree. I mean, the line at the end, they were like, "At what cost, Stephen? Taking all the evil, what have you become?" And he goes, "What was needed, what was necessary." Like, I feel like he's just kind of checked out and is ready to just do whatever it takes.
totally. Like, he might argue with you, I'm not checked out. I'm dialed in. You know, if you
That's
were having
very
this...
fair.
Now, where this goes, where he falls with the rest of the Illuminati, I don't know. I mean, are they going to be like, this was the right call? Because, I mean, they're all making hard decisions. Are they going to judge him for it, or are they going to be hypocrites? I mean, it's hard to say, I mean, who they're dealing with.
With how he's acting, I have to wonder if he's even going to tell them. Like, he might just show back up, and, you know, they were questioning in one of the last issues, like, where is he? So he might just show back up and be like, I was preparing, and he might not give any context.
I kind of hope that he doesn't, you know, and like he just is that much more powerful when it comes to it, you know.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if like it'll get to the point where like he's got so much going on he can't hold on to this power anymore, and like the demon escapes and things like that, and they have to like then battle these enemies, and like it's all Steven's fault that this is happening, and there's like some collateral damage.
I would love that because it would be kind of going full circle because in a way he's, you know, he made the comment when he was battling this demon. Let me see if I saved it. Yeah, he said, I know you're kind, Parasite. I had someone in my head. I will not stand for such violations. But then he's taking this thing into himself. So if this thing takes over at another point in time, that would just be a really interesting like cycle coming back full, since what happened with Ma.
It would be a really, really cool full cycle. I said full cycle, as if that was the sentence. Well, we got a lot going on here with Doctor Strange, but we do have 2 more books that we have to jump into. Are you guys okay with me jumping to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. So, well, I guess we're gonna have to wait a little longer to figure out what the hell is going on with the Earth that's in, or the planet that's in the same place as Earth, because they didn't explain any of that in this issue.
No.
No.
I mean, if anything,
it was really cool to see what becomes of those people that come out of that other Earth.
no spoilers, Al. We're talking about the book now. Yeah, so I mean, basically, we figure out what more of what AIM is doing, right? So we got them working, and they're pulling more stuff out of the multiverse, and they end up pulling Avengers right out of another world. And I think it's funny, like the multiverse is a weird thing. So you got Avengers, and they even use terms like "this is an Avengers world" and things like that. And
terms that we've heard the Avengers say in the main world.
Exactly. However, they mean them in a really different way.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
this is like a.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's my fault. I paused and I let it for you. Go ahead. Do your thing.
I was just gonna say how surprised I was because like the first bit shows like, you know, Hank Pym being dead, and they were like, oh, we have a dead Avenger, and I was like, what the hell? Like, this is how we're starting an issue? Like, okay, sure, I guess we're just gonna go full on this, and then we see this like other Avengers team, and I knew something was up right when AIM was, you know, when they were all ready to go guns blazing with these guys, and they were like, wait a minute, let's just talk to them. And then they had a conversation, and they just left. And I was like, something's not right.
Yeah, no, it was weird how they did that, and they're like, "All right, we're just gonna let them go," and I was like, "What is AIM up to?" Because like you just let them leave, like you pull these guys out of the multiverse. I mean, not that they had any choice in the matter with the Hulk and Thor there, but still,
It was crazy how Wasp was controlling the Hulk too.
Oh, that was so weird.
that it was weird, and I forgot about it almost because now like the Hulk is actually on his own. Like he wasn't even there when the rest of the Avengers fought the Adaptoid. And when we say the Avengers, we mean this alternate world Avengers. But yeah, he's going to his own, John. Like he's.
I wonder how he's going to interact with the rest of the Avengers once they find him, because they're going to find him.
Are they all morally
well,
compromised?
And he already did, right? He found Bruce from this world too.
Right. That I don't know if that's how it ended, but it was very close to the end of the second or the last issue.
There was a really interesting interaction because, like, Wasp was talking to Bruce, and she was like, "Oh, just come with me. Like, I'll make everything better." And he's like, "No, I'm out.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing to me, I want no part of it."
Yeah.
Goes and finds Bruce, and is basically like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm just relaxing. What are you doing?"
You're hiding here too? Yeah, and I don't know. Do you think like I had the feeling like the whole like getting questioned by Shield thing, that was just kind of like
that was just Maria doing her due diligence. I feel like
it
she
was.
knew it wasn't any part of what they were involved in, but
Right, and I don't think we're even gonna get like more as far as like the next issue. Like I just don't see that.
no.
It's done with. It was kind of just a way for like them to kind of like, this is a big deal, but it's really not a big deal. We'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how to explain it, but like it's just like a fake out, I guess, by the writer. I'm curious to see as to where AIM goes from here, because it seems like this AIM storyline has been kind of happening in the background throughout all of Hickman's Avengers run. And I was kind of looking at that as like a side backstory, but I'm starting to think that maybe there's a bigger story that he's trying to tell, and he's just taking his time with it over the course of many arcs.
Yeah, I can see that.
I do get the vibe there is probably something bigger going on.
Yeah, totally. There's totally a vibe for that. Where I don't know. Does it get cleaned up in this issue? I have no clue. Because honestly, we're really close to starting another event. I know, like I said, it was a short break. And it's not
the other event, like, is this? I'm assuming this is all connected because, like, you know, the issues that we've been reading all seem to be like interlinking with themes. Like we had said a little bit ago about the other world that was just kind of at the end of it, where they didn't explain it. And they were just like, "Yep, here's this," and we're like, "Ooh, what?"
It is connected, but it's also not. It's hard to explain. Okay. So it's a different writer. However, like there are going to be connecting books to what we're reading.
Mm-hmm.
We're going on in a beautiful blaze of glory, by the way, Shane. Just so you'll see it later.
I'm excited.
Christ.
we're all dead. I had no ammo. I'm gonna be honest, guys.
That was trash. I tried hopping out of the truck to get the evac, and it was just like wrong time.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm just over here like, what thing in God of War am I gonna do next?
Yeah, I, the next story is called Original Sin. So like it's a story that affects a lot of the
Oh, I've
characters.
heard of that.
It affects the characters on a more personal level. Um, and there are like large scale implications. Like I'm not going to say anything other than that because it's going to spoil the book, and I don't want to spoil the book. Um, but yeah, so it's weird because like I think we're getting into this one story, but we're going to see some Original Sin tie-ins, and I don't know if if it's how much it's going to tie in because like I haven't really read the tie-in books for Original Sin. I've read Original Sin, just not the tie-ins.
Right.
Okay.
So we'll see. I just have the feeling like this story that they're building up to these first two issues, we're not going to get into it too much until after Original Sin is over. Even though we're just continuing the Avengers line as we go, I think with event books you kind of get a pause. Hopefully they do it tastefully, you know. But
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But we'll see.
Well, I mean, now that I know that the next thing we're reading is called like Original Sin, there's a lot of things that I can infer because like I'm excited to see more backstory from other characters if we end up getting that because seeing Stranges was really cool and just I would love more like lore on these characters. And if the book's titled Original Sin, like I wonder if it's going to affect each of them, which I think would be really cool.
Because what does the Original Sin do? It is literally on everybody's soul, right? That's the idea
Right.
behind it. So,
Mm-hmm.
so there's one grand thing that affects everybody. You know, I don't know if there's a baptism, because that's how you get supposed to get rid of Original Sin. But well, I guess we'll
You're
find
making
out
me
as we
remember
read.
things I totally forgot.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt like the last two Avengers books we read, they felt very. They could have been one book in my opinion. They felt like they didn't have to space them into two. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that. I mean, they kind of dragged out that the whole AIM story more than it needed to be, um, with introducing the Adaptoids and bringing in the Dark Avengers, and that's what I'm going to call them because I don't know what else to call them. But it definitely was drawn out a little bit, in my opinion.
yeah, totally. Because I mean, it's all like it's a story, and then it's a retelling of the story from a different point of view, so you see more of what happens. Because that's all really what happened. It was
Mm-hmm.
the Avengers got out, they got their asses kicked. Nega Hank Pym died. Um, and you find out that the Adaptoids are a thing. I can't remember any other big plot points. I don't think there
What do you
really were.
think's going to happen with the two AIM members going through the portal?
I think they're going to come back different.
I don't remember
Like,
them
there's a
going
reason
through the
they're wearing
portal.
those suits.
It was like right at the, I think it was at the end of the second Avengers book. They were like, "Oh, well, we've done our exploratory, bringing stuff in. Let's see what happens when we go through." And like I think it was the super or the supreme scientist, and I don't know if it was the girl or not, but two AIM members walked through the portal at the end of
Okay.
the one episode.
So they totally like grabbed people from a dying world, like so that was our tie into the bigger story, right? These Avengers come from a place where there was an incursion happening and the world was ending. What if they just go to an incursion and just like, oh, well, this sucks. And that could be the possibility, right?
Yeah.
Oh, real quick before we wrap up, I just did have a question to make sure that I was understanding this correctly.
Sure.
Those, and I just forgot the name. The artificial intelligence things. What was their name again?
The Adaptoids.
The Adaptoids.
Adaptoids. Yes. I got the impression at the end of that issue that they had gained sentience at the end of that.
Me too. I was getting that too.
Okay. Just making sure, because they had like changed their forms from like mimicking the Avengers, and then had a conversation with themselves, and I was like, oh, well, they just lost control of the Superbot. Very nice.
Yeah. No, I feel like usually when it comes to like evil teams creating like superbots is they make them, they beat up the heroes they're imposing, the bad guys are like, yeah, we did it. And then the evil robot's like, well, I'm gonna fuck your shit up now. So,
It was kind of funny. Right after I read that book, there was a thing on Instagram where it was like a robot dog with an M16 mounted on the top, and it was like, well, humans had a good run. It was kind of like that was very. It was pretty funny.
God.
Oddly appropriate.
Yeah.
Oddly appropriate. But yeah, let's wrap it up here. I feel like we're in a good place. We talked a little bit about what's next. Do you guys have either? I know Shane, you watched it, but Al, did you end up watching the Christmas special?
I did. I enjoyed it.
You did.
Kevin Baconed it. It was awesome.
Kevin Bacon.
It was so Kevin Bacon. I don't think we could have gotten any more Kevin Bacon.
I really enjoyed the interaction between Drax and Mantis. I thought that was really fun.
I love the candy cane bit where like you got to keep your man, and she's like,
It's
in
not
what
a man.
world is this a man? And then she's
I
like,
did hear. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ian.
No, I was gonna say she's like, and then she's like, well, I'm not really sure. And then she has to ask someone else if it's a man.
Oh, yeah, and we're not doing anything illegal. Here's your candy cane.
What were you gonna say, Shane?
I did hear that, because one of the things that not bothered me, but made me really curious was how did they get Bucky's arm? And I guess like James Gunn tweeted on Twitter that like Nebula just went and just took it. So I want to see that conversation.
I want that to be the beginning of the Thunderbolts movie. Like Bucky's just
got to get his arm back.
Yeah, or he's sitting there without an arm. Like, great. I don't want to talk about it.
That is something that he would just do. What happened? I want to talk about it. I gotta go call Wakanda now.
Vibranium doesn't run on trees, and the vibranium is also a very, very touchy subject at the moment. All right, we're not going to talk about it. All right. So next week, I almost lied a little bit.
No.
So we are reading Original Sin 1. However, we read Avengers 27 and 28 before we read Original Sin. So we might get a somewhat of a completion of this story before we go into it, because that'll be a total of 4 issues.
Okay.
So there's that. But yeah, that's really it for us. So if you're still here and listening, God bless you and thank you.
If anybody has any better theories as to what happened with Bucky's arm, I'd love to know.
Yeah, seriously. We can start a whole thread talking about how Bucky's arm is not even real. It's a construct of our imagination.
I just think fan fiction opportunity, but that's just me.
I was getting really really deep with it. That's how I am. But thanks everybody. We could totally do this without you, but it's nice if someone likes it. And I'm looking at the guy who likes it. But
you one guy. Thank you for liking it.
He's dipping up and down. He's jumping. So yeah, I hope he's subscribed. But if you happen to be listening to this, please subscribe and like and comment and have fun with us. This was Comic Book Wednesdays. I'm Ian.
I'm Al.
I'm Shane.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See ya.